Even if the airship wasn't flying, that alone doesn't prove the witness went along the wall.
True, even now it's no more than a possibility.
Then how do you propose Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth? I noticed something as I went over the evidence. Please take a look at this hold entry record. What about it? I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere. Don't you remember? In yesterday's session, we had a very similar kind of argument. Did we? I don't remember. We argue so much. Honestly, Mr. Ryder, you're going senile already. We talked about Larry Butts using the defendant's keycard to enter the hold. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we? In other words, even if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered by using someone else's card. Mr. Sprocket, you entered the hold with Mr. Nickety, didn't you? Don't you fib at me, Sorin.
I did.
You fibber! What? Why didn't you tell us that in the first place?
Pierce is indispensable. I didn't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do without him.
Mr. Sprocket, I ask that you testify in greater detail about your movements that night.
One lie begets another. If you're spinning a web, you're probably going to be the one that gets caught in it. You spider metaphor.
The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's why my name doesn't appear on the hold entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over.
Well, this doesn't help me one bit. Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again. Who do you think you are, treating this court of law with such irreverence? That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. Now there are no more inconsistencies in the witness's testimony. We'll see about that.
That's Mr. Edgeworth for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick?
I wouldn't exactly call the situation okay. Somehow I'll have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him. If I even can, that is. Time to press this thing. The truth is,
I went to the Vista deck with Pierce.
Hold it! You didn't mention this because you didn't want Mr. Nickety to fall under suspicion. Is that because he has something to hide?
I just didn't want the police to take up his time with all their questions, that's all. Neither the company nor the household would function smoothly without him.
I see. Well, it sounds like Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. A little too indispensable. Anyway, getting back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nickety?
We met up on my way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor. But Pierce heard the commotion and came running to my aid.
He could hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor?
Mr. Wright, would you like the current statement added to the witness's testimony?
Yeah? Bring it on. Yes, please, Your Honor.
Very well.
More things to press. Okay.
Pierce heard the commotion and came running.
Hold it! Did Mr. Nickety come alone?
I believe some of his subordinates were with him, but I don't remember exactly how many.
He may say there were others, but seeing how they pulled that second reception off, I can't completely trust anything he has to say either. I see. So you, Mr. Nickety, and a few others headed to the Vista deck, is that right?
That's right. That's why my name doesn't appear on the hold entry record.
Hold it! Your name doesn't appear on the hold entry record because you entered with Mr. Nickety using his key card?
That's right.
So I guess the hold entry record doesn't matter as much as we thought, or does it? But now that Sorin's saying he was with Pierce and a few others, it's pretty tough to refute that statement. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Cat got your tongue. Did you finally realize there's no point in continuing this trial any longer? Of course not! I'll wipe that smug look off your face! Mr. Sprocket, please continue with your testimony.
I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic.
Hold it! Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now?
The knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared, but one wrong move would have spelled the end for me there.
Even so, I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident.
I'm only following my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises.
Mr. Wright, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition added to his testimony? Not that it appears especially relevant to me.
Should I have him added to his testimony? Yeah, if there's no reason to not add it that I can find. Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have it added to his testimony.
I see. Very well.
The knife wound is quite deep and continues to throb with pain.
It's not a knife. It's not a knife. It's a candelabra. Your injury was really that deep?
Luckily, it missed my internal organs. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive right now.
According to his doctor, his injury will take about 3 weeks to heal. There's no way someone with that kind of injury could have gone along the outside wall. Ugh. But he might have been able to with the burst of adrenaline brought on by the pain. Adrenaline. Is that your answer for everything? In a court of law, the only thing that matters is evidence, not rampant speculation. At least admit it's scientific rampant speculation.
May I continue?
Yes, of course.
By the time we reached the scene, it was all over.
We're gonna press it. I think the knife wound, that might be a Freudian slip-up, but we'll see. So you still insist that you reached the Vista deck after the murder had occurred? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Ellen must have killed him. There's no other explanation. I guess whether Pierce was with Sorin or not doesn't change the outcome.
I guess not. In fact, more witnesses actually makes it worse for us. So another cover-up, huh?
That Sorin has too many secrets. I bet he's still hiding other things too.
There's definitely a possibility. But in a situation like this, what we have to do is go back to the basics.
You mean go over the testimony and check for any lies or inconsistencies?
You got it.
All right, Nick, let's go for it.
This is how we get testimony about the candelabra, because he said the word knife. And while it might be a simple slip of the tongue, I think that you would really remember what you were stabbed with, especially if it's something weird like a candelabra.
Objection!
What's up, Sorin? Mr. Sprocket, you just said your injury is a knife wound, didn't you? But the weapon you were stabbed with was this candelabra. A fact I know you're quite aware of. Very well. This is what I heard directly from Master Sorin himself. As you surmised, Master Sorin was stabbed by Gloomsbury on the day of the murder. It happened after the first wedding reception. The happy couple was in the reception hall when suddenly Gloomsbury appeared. He attacked Miss Ellen and tried to take her away. Master Sorin went to stop him and found himself in a struggle with Gloomsbury. That's when Master Sorin was stabbed with the candelabra, he said.
Objection!
It must have been a simple memory slip that made him misspeak. It happens to everyone. It has nothing to do with the case. No. Don't you shake your no head at me. You must be pretty desperate to point out something so minute.
Grr. I have to agree, Mr. Wright. You hardly need to make such a big deal over such a small mistake.
But I contend that it's an important inconsistency. Besides, I couldn't find anything else. This is the only thing I have to go after. And I say it's not important. Now, let's not waste any more time on this matter.
I agree. Everybody has a little memory lapse every now and then.
Hold it!
But, Your Honor, please let me explain.
But can you? Can you really explain to this court what makes this slip so important?
Yes, I can, Your Honor. After all, it was Sorin himself who told Pierce that he had been stabbed by a candelabra. This is more than a simple memory slip. There has to be some kind of reason for it.
Well, Mr. Wright, please explain why the witness's slip of the tongue is so important.
The point to focus on here is why the witness would mistake the weapon used to stab him. Think carefully, Phoenix. This could very well change the course of the trial.
I see, so why did the witness make that mistake, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Sprocket identified the wrong weapon used against him because he's covering for someone. That's gonna be what we go for. He's covering for somebody. Because he misspoke is what they're saying. He has no memory of it is not helpful. I think it's gotta be covering. Mr. Sprocket, oh no, this isn't it. It's trying to cover for someone. This isn't it.
He is. And who might that be?
Well, Mr. Gloomsbury, maybe?
Objection!
Why would Mr. Sprocket try to cover for the man who stabbed him? And regardless of the weapon, the fact remains that Mr. Gloomsbury stabbed the witness.
Exactly, Mr. Edgeworth.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, but I have to agree.
Shut up, Maya. I don't need you to chime in on this. I guess that makes sense.
Too bad there's no one to cover for you, Mr. Wright. You'll have to accept this penalty all by your lonesome.
I don't mind having someone to cover for me every once in a while. Oh well, I can't lose heart now. I've got to just keep on trying. Mr. Sprocket identified the wrong weapon of him because I guess he has no memory of it. He doesn't remember the incident, let alone the weapon used against him. Not only that, but I believe Mr. Sprocket has some sort of memory disorder. Therefore, the defense contends that Mr. Sprocket's testimony thus far is invalid.
Objection!
Just because you can't find a flaw in his testimony, you want to throw it all out. And yeah, I don't have sub emotes because I'm not a Twitch partner, so I don't have subscribers, so I can't make emotes. I wish I could. If you guys have any secrets for how to get things, I'd love to be making emotes for things. Your baseless claim is nothing but pure slander of the witness's character.
Mr. Edgeworth is correct, Mr. Wright. Can you explain your grounds for making this claim?
Of course, Your Honor. Think of what Sorin has said. Now he's behaved. That's where I'll find how he's behaved. That's where I'll find a clue.
Very well. Let's hear your argument then.
My grounds for claiming that Mr. Sprocket has a memory disorder is his notebook. His taciturn personality is also funny, but you can have that without having a problem. The notebook he always has with him. I saw daily events and information about the people around him recorded in it.
Like a diary, perhaps?
No, Your Honor. It's much too detailed to be an ordinary diary. It's more on the order of a database, actually.
A database, you say?
That's right. For some reason, Mr. Sprocket is apparently unable to retain memories. That's why he writes every little detail of his life down in his notebook.
Objection!
How could you possibly know that for sure? He might just be an extremely compulsive person. I thought so too myself, at first. To be honest, we accidentally got a stain on that notebook yesterday.
You mean you got a stain on it?
Hey! You're the one who tried to grab it out of my...
Objection!
Never mind whose fault it was, just get to the point already. Right, sorry. Mr. Sprocket? The page Miss Faye got a stain on yesterday. That's the page with the details of your stabbing on it, isn't it?
No, I only write in this notebook because I'm very compulsive. Now drop the subject already.
Sorry, but I'm not convinced. I noticed an odd fact about your notebook, Mr. Sprocket. On the earlier pages, you used it to write down invention ideas. But after a certain date, you started writing down a lot more and in much more detail. I believe your memory disorder stems from what happened on that date.
Something so monumental, it caused a memory disorder, Mr. Wright.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, but I do know what I'm talking about. And this is the proof. This is the thing that caused Mr. Sprocket's memory disorder. I think clearly it's the newspaper clipping detailing the car accident that resulted in his sister's death. So also the car suffered severe injuries.
Take that!
You were involved in this car accident too, weren't you, Mr. Sprocket? And the shock of losing your beloved older sister is what caused you to develop your memory disorder. Is this true, Mr. Sprocket?
Well, is it?
Mr. Sprocket!
It's true. That accident did something to my mind.
What?
Ever since that day, every time I go to sleep, I lose my memories. And when I wake up, the most recent thing I can remember is the day I lost my sister. It's as if I'm constantly going back in time.
What? That's truly tragic.
An inconsolable time traveler who goes back in time whenever he goes to sleep.
Besides, time travelers do exist, you know. But you wouldn't understand.
So that's what Sorin meant. He was talking about himself.
The reactions of the people around me each time I awoke made me aware of my condition. That's why I decided to write everything down in my notebook so I could move forward.
So the only memories you have since that day are the ones written in that notebook.
That's right.
And since the page about your stabbing got stained, you couldn't read from it, could you? There's just one more thing I'd like you to clarify for me, Mr. Sprocket. Exactly what are your feelings toward the victim?
Mr. Sprocket's feeling toward Demas Gloomsbury?
That's right, Your Honor. The witness said that every time he wakes up from sleep, his mind goes back to the day his sister died.
Mr. Wright, you can't mean...
Mr. Sprocket! Your pent-up feelings of anger and resentment towards Mr. Gloomsbury for the accident were renewed each and every time you woke, were they not? But you couldn't take it anymore, so you turned to murder. Isn't that right?
What? Mr. Wright, are you saying that the witness murdered Mr. Gloomsbury for revenge?
Ugh. Well, Mr. Sprocket. Hold it. Ellen! Miss Wyatt!
Your Honor, I did it. I killed Mr. Gloomsbury.
No!
What? Wah, 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 wah.
Don't throw my case out, you fibby bride. Miss Wyatt, what are you trying to do?
Don't tell me you're still thinking of going that route. Someone is innocent. He can't be found guilty. Take me instead.
Ellen, please, try and get a hold of yourself. I guess she really meant it.
My Sorin didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one who should be convicted.
Are we to understand that you're confessing your guilt?
No. Now wait just a minute here.
Ellen, why would you cover for me? After I testified that I thought you must have killed him.
I'll admit, I couldn't believe my ears at first. But all I want is for you to be happy. Your happiness is my happiness, Sorin.
But without my notebook, I'd even forget those feelings of yours by tomorrow. Knowing that, do you still feel this way?
You've loved me all this time, the same way you did before the accident. That's how I know that you're the same person I've always loved. No disorder can change that.
Ellen, Your Honor, there are two things I'd like to correct.
2 corrections? What are they?
First of all, I want to withdraw one of my statements. That's right, Dumas was killed by Ellen. Without memories to rely on, I took the police completely at their word.
You can't be serious.
So that means Sorin never really doubted Ellen in the first place, did he, Nick?
Ellen really does love Sorin with all her heart. But in order to save her, I'll still have to go after Sorin. I hope you can forgive me, Ellen.
And what is your other correction, Mr. Sprocket?
The truth is, I never felt anger or resentment towards Dumas about my sister.
What? Why not?
It's because the one who caused the car accident was me.
What?
Order in the court. Please continue, Mr. Sprocket.
I'm the one who killed my sister. To protect my career and my future, my father made Dumas take the blame. In exchange for money and the position of lead servant. So you see, Dumas must have held a grudge against me, not the other way around. And he must have attacked Ellen to get his revenge on me.
Are you sure about all of this, Mr. Sprocket?
Very sure. It's all been written down in detail in my notebook.
That notebook is important evidence supplying background to this case. I must insist you submit it as evidence.
The lawyer said I had turned to murder, but that's just not true. However, it is true that my older sister and Damas are both dead because of me and my negligence.
I just glanced through Mr. Sprocket's notebook. I wasn't able to read the part about when he was stabbed due to the bloodstain. But what's written here about his sister's car accident is exactly as he stated.
Your Honor, as long as it matches what's written in that notebook, can we still take the witness's testimony as valid in spite of his memory disorder?
Yes, I believe we can.
I understand now that the witness's memory is in disarray. But if what Mr. Sprocket himself wrote in this notebook is true, then that means by the time Mr. Sprocket's party reached the scene, the victim had already been killed. Edgeworth's right. I'm still in the same bind as before. But should I really simply accept the contents of the notebook as a substitute for Sorin's memory?
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think? Will you accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories?
Someone could have tampered with these. Well, I accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories. Can we take a look at them first? I'm very curious. Sorin had been writing nothing but ideas for his inventions until March 8th of last year, when he abruptly began to chronicle the events of each day in excruciating detail. However, details of the day of the murder have been rendered ineligible due to a bloodstain. I think we have to say no, right? I will say no to you. Wait a minute, Your Honor. The defense requests a chance to examine the notebook to see if it's trustworthy.
Very well, but be quick about it.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, how should we examine it? We're going to lick every individual page. Well, we should look at it from all different angles to see if there's anything suspicious. Aha! A 3D looky-loo. All right. So, looking at the cover, we got a moo on it. There's no point if I don't look at what's inside. I have to open it. With your permission, Sorin, here I go. Blah. Yikes! Oh, it's just a page my eye got all stained. But I guess it's not going to be very helpful at the moment. I'll keep going. There's a torn page. This is the last page where there's writing. Huh. Something about this page doesn't sit right with me. I better take a closer look. We're gonna go over here. Huh? A page has been torn out. And it looks like there was something written on it. It looks like a page has been torn out here. Mr. Sprocket, do you know what was written on it?
Oh, that? I often tear out a page when I write somebody a note. I probably wrote something down for somebody, tore it out and gave it to them, or, folded it up into a paper airplane and hit them in the head.
Gotta say, folding up a paper airplane like that one-handed, pretty talented. Ouch! Oh yeah. Well, that solves that then.
Objection!
Wait a minute. We can't ignore the possibility that something important was written on that page.
But now that the page has been torn out, how can we determine what was written there?
Well, you can do a rubbing of the paper behind it. Get Emma! Let's see. To find out what was written in the notebook, we should hold it up to the light. Heat it with a lighter. I think fingerprint powder might be the closest. None of these is what I thought it would be. Because usually when someone's written onto it, you do the rubbing thing on there. So I'm trying to think of what the closest equivalent would be. We do have fingerprint powder that Emma gave us. So let's go for that. If we use fingerprint powder on the notebook, we might be able to see what was written.
Fingerprint powder? How would that help us find out what was written there?
Well, if the writing left indentations on the blank page behind it, fingerprint powder could make those small indentations visible to the naked eye. Oh, stop. Fingerprint powder would only sully the notebook further.
Mrs. Wright, if you use the powder and still don't find anything, then you must accept the notebook as a representation of the witness's memories.
All right, Your Honor. I understand. If I don't find anything, it's all over anyway. Powder, don't fail me now. I will now use fingerprint powder on the blank page to find out if we can see what was written on the torn out page. Okay, first I touch a spot to dust it with fingerprint powder. When I dust it on enough powder, I blow into the mic to blow the excess powder away. If something should appear, I should touch analyze, point to what came up, and touch confirm. Okay. Oh, let's go down here where the actual letters are. Uh-oh. I struck and killed Dumas. What? Well, we're going to analyze that. It says, I struck and killed Dumas. This is huge! He means blowing into this mic. I struck and killed Dumas. That's what was written on the torn out page.
Whoa, what?
It can't be.
I don't believe it! There has to be some kind of mistake. Sorin would never, could never.
Miss Wyatt!
Bailiff, please get the defendant to the infirmary at once. Apparently, the defendant got too worked up. She's resting in the infirmary as we speak. Now then, please continue, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. This notebook is all Mr. Sprocket has to remember things by. With this critical page torn out, not even Mr. Sprocket himself knew the truth of what he'd done.
I'm the one who killed Dumas? So it wasn't Ellen. Oh, thank goodness.
Mr. Sprocket, does this mean you were at the crime scene during the murder after all?
I guess I must have been.
Well. But Mr. Sprocket, can we really believe what's written in this notebook?
Nobody touches this notebook but me. And when I sleep, it's under lock and key. I don't remember writing that I killed Dumas, but I guess I must have.
Well, now that we have a confession, I'm afraid I must render my verdict.
Of all the...
Yes, Your Honor. Please give your ruling now, while Ellen is asleep. I want the woman I love to be set free as soon as possible.
Sorin really does love Ellen after all, doesn't he?
Yeah. So this is how it ends. But is that how it really went down? Is there really no way for them to both Be happy?
I know we should consider anything written in the notebook to be the truth, but still.
I myself wrote the crime in my notebook. No further proof is necessary.
Sorin himself wrote it in his notebook. Wait a minute.
Very well. I will now give my verdict.
Ellen's about to be found not guilty, and Sorin will be convicted for the crime instead. And yet, am I really ready for the judge to give his ruling? No, because something's wrong. Something is wrong here, and we're not just happy with getting our client found not guilty. Not when there's still one more avenue left to explore. We have to find the truth.
This court finds the defendant Ellen Wyatt.
Your Honor, there's still something that bothers me about that notebook.
Oh, he's there.
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? All you have to do is keep quiet, and your client's a free woman. I know, but I think there might be more to this case than meets the eye. I'm not quite sure yet, but I think there still might be a way. A way for Ellen and Sorin to be happy.
What do you mean by more than meets the eye, Mr. Wright? Are you selling Transformers?
I believe the question here, Your Honor, should be, why was the incriminating page torn out in the first place?
Why? To destroy the evidence, I would imagine.
But removing it from the notebook is the same as removing it from Mr. Sprocket's memory, which means he wouldn't have been able to trick the police if he came under suspicion. No, if he wanted to cover up his crime, he would have to remember that he had done it. Just what are you getting at with this line of inquiry, Mr. Wright?
Yes, please explain it so that we can all understand, because I'm kind of drifting off here.
Yes, Your Honor. The page was torn out of the notebook because somebody else tore it out. The incriminating page was torn out by somebody else.
What? Order! Order! Are you claiming a third person interfered with the notebook?
It's not all that surprising if you consider what's happened up until now. After both the car accident and the murder of Dumas Gloomsbury, there was always a cover-up not far behind.
But I had my notebook with me at all times.
Did you? Because I remember you were in a panic yesterday because you couldn't find it.
That's true.
So who orchestrated this particular cover-up, Mr. Wright?
If we think back over the course of the trial, it's pretty easy to guess. The one who may have tried to tamper with Sorin's memories is... I think it would have to be Pierce. And I think it's time to accuse him. I'm gonna save it first anyway. The one who tampered with the notebook in order to manipulate Mr. Sprocket's memory is Pierce Nickety. Yeah.
Pierce tried to tamper with my memories? Pierce was manipulating me?
Case in point, the two receptions that were held to cover up the murder. It was Mr. Nickety who directed the guests and orchestrated the entire scheme.
No, it can't be. Which of my memories are mine and which have been rewritten? When did he start rewriting my memories? Who wrote this? And this? And this? And this? And this? And this? And this?
The Rocketeer! We're gonna fight the Nazis! Let's go! Huh, huh, he literally took off!
What?
coming back down!
He's back down, all right.
My memories, Ellen.
Did they come back? Have you remembered? Mr. Sprocket!
Bailiff, please get Mr. Sprocket to the infirmary on the double.
I wonder if he wrote a bunch of little things about him not liking Ellen that much anymore, and that's why he's been kind of cold to her lately.
Mr. Sprocket has been taken to the infirmary. We don't have to worry about him running away, so let us resume where we left off.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Pierce Nickety to the stand.
Objection!
We already know he carried out the cover-up to protect the company and Mr. Sprocket. What more do you want from him? This time it's different. The notebook, or rather Mr. Sprocket's memories, have been tampered with. That means the only person who knows the whole truth is now Mr. Nickety. Don't tell me, are you actually trying to drum up a third suspect in order to exonerate the defendant and her groom? I'm not drumming up anything, nor do I have grounds to accuse him of anything. Yet. All I know is that Mr. Nickety is the only one who knows the truth. And I think he's still hiding something. Something we don't know about yet. Humph. No grounds yet, is it?
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution consent to calling the witness to the stand?
It does, Your Honor. However, I would like a little time to talk with the witness before we do.
Very well. We will break for a 20-minute recess.
All right, I guess they gotta go confer British accents and make sure that they match up. That's gonna be it for that one. See you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't yet. Bye for now.